Welcome back. Let's straight jump in. So in our previous video, we have covered one-to-one mapping and one-to-many mapping. So one-to-one we have covered both unidirectional and bidirectional, and for one-to-many we have only covered unidirectional. If you haven't watched my previous video, you can go and watch, and please subscribe to my channel. That will motivate me. So now, for us to enable bidirectional for one-to-many, we need to do two things. We need to do changes at two places. One is at the profile, and another is at the address. And also we'll cover that what is orphan removal. Let's jump in and proceed for our changes. So first thing what we are going to do is we are going to comment this out, because we don't need joint column because we are already using joint column in our user table, and profile ID is already present in our table. And then we need, what we need is we need mapped by, and then we need to define mapped by what, mapped by profile. Okay, why we do this? To establish the linkage between the address table. Now when we come to our address class, what we need is, annotation will not be one to many, but the annotation will be many to one. Eventually it is one to many, but it has read in a way that we have to say one to many. And then we will add join column, and then we will define our name, and for which ID we need to join, we need to use profile ID. Well, underscore ID, underscore ID. Okay, perfect. And then we need to define our variable, which is private profile, and then profile. And also we need to create getter and setter. So now let us create our getter setter. So that's all. Now there is one more thing which we need to do, where we need to map the instance of that object so that it can set the ID properly, otherwise it will throw us in the error. We have done this in our previous video. We'll go and check back. Here what we need to do is, to maintain bidirectional, we need to add address dot set profile, and using this keyword. You remember that why we are commenting this, because we have already done this in user table. If suppose the user table is not here, we have some other table, then we need to do this. That's why I haven't removed it, I just keep it. If you are creating only profile and address, then you need to add this. Otherwise, if you are following along, then you need to have a user table, profile table, and address table. So if profile ID is present in user table, then you don't need to define in our profile entity. So let us run it and let us see what happens. We will run our application. Okay, application is started. So now we will come to our database also, and also I already opened the diagram. Yeah, yeah. So this looks nice. So now let us run our query. Okay, so now everything is perfect. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to just insert a record to verify it. Okay, we will not do much, and we will just add one more thing to identify that are we doing the right. This is, now let us fire our API. Okay, we know why this is happening. It is sending us the circular, because of circular reference, it is sending us the junk data. So you know how to fix this. In previous video we have talked about, and we have done it, we have fixed this in a quick way, adding JSON ignore annotation. So if you haven't watched it, you can go and watch it out, but we will cover this in detail in our upcoming video. So let's see whether record is inserted in our database. So address, okay, address given the ID of profile is 9. So the ID of profile is 9. Okay, the ID is profile 9 and the mobile number. Okay, and the user ID is 303 and the user ID is perfect. So user ID is 303. Everything is perfect. So now, okay, now let's jump in to understand that what this often token is. So basically, often removal. So what is this? So this often removal is an attribute in JPA which is used to manage the life cycle of the child entity in a parent-child relationship. So what this means is that because now we are doing mapping, so there is a relationship between two tables, table 1 and table 2. Table 1 and table 2 or table A or table B. So the relationship between this life cycle of this relationship is maintained by often removal. The default value of often removal is false, whereas if we need to define it true, we need to define the value. So this value determines whether child entity should be removed from the database when they are removed from the parent entity collection. This is more like when we are doing cascade delete, but there's a bit different that when a child entity is removed from parent entity collection and often removal is true, is the child is automatically deleted from the database. What happens is the child entity become the orphan when it become orphan when it is removed from the parent collection or the reference to the parent is set to null. So there are two ways we can make child an orphan. One is to remove the parent collection or to set the reference of parent to null. I hope you understand this. So now because we have covered bidirectional for both one-to-one mapping and one-to-many mapping, and we haven't actually used this in our API because we are just inserting it. And bidirectional will not help you when you're inserting a record. Bidirectional will help you when you are querying or when you are fetching or when you're deleting actually. So it's just that how to set up bidirectional is more that because usually in interview they usually ask this question that if do you know bidirectional, have you worked with bidirectional? Because when you're working with complex application, right, you need to understand that whether this is bidirectional or it is not, because you just simply cannot delete and then if they have a cascading impact, it might delete the records. So you also need to understand that how bidirectional is enabled. That's why but we haven't used it so far. But we are going to use it in our upcoming videos. Okay, so that's all for now. Thank you.